Hello. If y'all could just see what be happening behind the scenes. Good evening, everyone.
Hello. Is it us you're looking for?
Is it us you're looking for?
Well,
a song on our spirit.
Lord. Well, welcome to what, y'all?
Totally Us Unscripted.
Hey, totally unscripted.
You know we'll write a good song. Don't play with us. Do not play with us. We will.
Seymour, you all.
My God, that man saved our life. He did.
Oh, he saved our life on what, y'all?
On tonight.
Tonight.
Right here.
He is the home of the Soul Bowl.
Yes, Lord.
Sundays after church,
yeah.
Even when you get off from work, if you're looking for some good soul food,
come on,
hit him up. The name of his business is Georgia Maze.
Yes.
And he is no stranger to Palm Beach County, the Tri-County area. He does catering events for schools, for family reunions, all kind of events. So if you are looking for some good soul food, hit up Georgia Maze with Boris Seymour. I promise
we
you.
Promise you.
You won't be disappointed.
Baby, that fried chicken and that fried fish.
So good. All right.
So why are we here? Why are we here? We are here to inspire intentional living.
Yes,
and so for the purposes of our talk on tonight, I have a quote that I want to share. And the quote says, "I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it." Wow. Ooh. And that is a quote by Art Williams. And so tonight we're going to have a good conversation, and I thought that quote would be befitting of what we'll be talking about tonight. That was such a beautiful quote. Oh, thank you. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. No. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. This segues us right into what we are discussing on tonight, guys. One sweet day. Guess what? We are going to be dealing with holiday grief. Grief during the holidays. And we are bringing along with us in this conversation on today. Yes, guys, we have another special guest. Another special guest. We want to bring to the stage on tonight my classmate, your your new friend, Miss Tracey Seabrook.
Yes.
Now coming live from La Femme, and she'll tell us a little more about her organization. But it is called La Femme Noire Collection. Okay.
All right.
You had to get my words right when you say it. You got to say it right. Come on now. It is a nonprofit organization in South Florida, which they aim in promoting mental health and self-care for women of color. All right. So they dedicate their time to women that look like us. Hello. And to help us with our mental health. Okay. And so tonight, Tracey, we are so glad you're here with us. Welcome. Share in this conversation.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, we are so ready for this conversation. We have people following, they're hollering out, they're coming in because they're ready for this conversation. Now, I am not the expert professional in this field. Of course, my sisters here, this is what they probably do every day. And I am more on the baby version side of it. Okay.
Don't let her fool you. She has been taking notes. And she has been getting some side certifications.
Yes.
Right. And I was going to say, in this day and age, there's so much going on with mental health and wellness that's out there. Anybody can become a professional. Between Google and ChatGPT, like what else do you need as far as information, right?
Correct. And because I am a certified youth mental health.
There you go.
Okay. Come on,
my class.
Hello. No, I didn't make your class because Trace is also an educator and psychologist through the school district of Palm Beach County.
Oh, nice.
So, you know about the youth health mental, but we talk about grief in that. Okay. All right. And so when it comes down to the young people, you can use it for young, old, new, whoever, because it all works the same when it comes down to grief.
Okay.
I'm going to give a little snippet here.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to lead us into it. Come on here.
All right.
I'm going to lead us. Yes. I'm going to lead us into it.
We want to hear a little bit about your service.
Come on. And then I'm going to release this conversation to the professionals.
Oh,
all right. So when we talk about grief, make sure, I think our admin is here. Thank you, admin. I already feel you in my spirit.
Yes. And our admin,
our admin is a little certifications and stuff. And so she may holler out something tonight. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so tonight we want to talk about grief. Grief being that emotional suffering that you may feel when something or someone you love is taken away. Okay. All right.
Something or someone.
Okay. All right. Why did I say that? Because I know people thought we were just going to talk about death. But we're going to reach slightly beyond death.
Okay.
And what if they are actually here and it's a loss of a friendship or a loss of a relationship around the holidays?
Right.
Okay.
You're used to being with certain people, your family, certain ones. They may either be gone as a result of death, or it could be because you are no longer friends anymore, or there was a separation in the family. Right. And so we're going to discuss that tonight. Okay. Hello, are you guys with me?
Yes,
all
we
right.
are with you.
Okay.
Like you sounded like a professional to me. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, hold on now. Don't get me stirred up, Trace. Don't get me stirred up.
That's all I'm saying. Let the people know the grieving might be your friend. It could
okay.
be. Okay. You're right there.
All right. So what we do know is that grief can be overwhelming. And so grief can be overwhelming. And the grieving process, we know, is based on the individual experience.
Very good.
Okay.
Come on.
So
Rita.
Come through.
Okay. All right. One thing I do is study. But it is
that's self-approved. How about that?
Come on, see? You better know we're on a Christian network. Talk about the word. And so it is based on the individual experience. And we know there are individuals that are watching and are going to watch that they are really struggling with. It is the holidays. My loved one is gone, whether it's the first year, the 10th year, 5 years, 2 days, or I am no longer friends with my BFF or someone I was in close relationship to. And so one thing I want to say, and this is going to segue us into where we're going here on tonight, as I was in my study time, they were talking about the therapeutic purpose of grief.
Okay.
See, y'all understand this talk. All right. The therapeutic purpose of grief and mourning is to get you to the place where you can live with the loss in a healthy way.
Get you to the place.
People don't understand there is a purpose to grief and mourning.
Yes.
And that is so that we can live with the loss in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So here's my question for each of you, and we can start it off, Tracey, with you. How can we tell the people, how do we manage grief during the holidays?
I mean, I think the first thing we have to do in this is make sure that we understand that it's normal and we want to normalize it. I think one of the best things I heard in a training I went to was a while ago. Somebody said, you should take as long or longer as you've loved the person. That's how long you should expect that grief is going to last, right? So sometimes people are always thinking, it's been a year, it's been 2 years. Well, if this is somebody that you've known most of your life, right? You have that amount of time before it's something where we start looking at maybe something diagnosable, but it's absolutely normal to feel that way, and it comes and goes, right? So you may be fine one day, you may not be fine the next day. You may have small triggers or things that you didn't even realize will come up, right? That will help or will put you in a certain mood, right? So my uncle passed this July, and we're always known, we go to the classic as a family every year. It's just been a thing that's always happened. And this year it was really rough, right? Going to a place where usually he's like the spearhead, and like all of my good memories around the classic, he was there.
Right.
And so you never know like part of me said we need to go to honor his memory because that's what he would want us to do. But then there's certain things that happen where it kind of triggers that, oh man, he's not here, right? And as
Right.
normal, it's always going to happen. It's going to come and go. Um, and that's normal. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to get through is people need to understand that it's normal. It's not anything that people should just get over, and there's no time frame on it, right? So there's nothing that says that you should be done mourning the person in a certain amount of time.
Right. And I think sometimes people do try to put a time limit on it.
Right. You should be over it by now, or something like that. Yeah, I think another thing to consider too is the communal part of grieving. Grieving has to be experienced, right?
Yes.
And it has to be experienced by others. And so when we talk about grieving within the context of community, it's so necessary. It's such a part of the process, because that's why, back in when we were going through COVID and people weren't able to attend funerals and things like that, why it has led to such a mental health issue, right? Because grief is supposed to be something that you observe as I engage it, and I observe you as you engage it, right? And it is a communal thing. There's the story of this tribe in, I think it's Australia, an indigenous tribe. And when someone in their neighborhood loses a loved one, everyone in the neighborhood moves something in their home or takes something out of their home. And that really signifies that everything has changed, right? And so I think sometimes the reason why we don't give people the appropriate time that they need is because we want them to move on as if nothing has changed. While when they lose someone or lose something, everything changes, because everyone has to readjust to accommodate that change.
Right. So it got to be a community thing.
Yeah.
We need to grieve it together. Do you think that's why funerals are important?
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
Or memorial services. We talking about death. Now, how does that apply when you've lost, not through death, but like in friendship and relationship? Does that apply there too?
I think so. I think you should have safe spaces where you can talk about that which you have lost, and not be judged, based on the experiences that you've had. Yeah, I think shared spaces is important, irrespective of what you have lost.
And I guess that's why you said, even in the beginning, that's why the therapeutic approach is so needed when you experience grief, because they help guide you, through those different stages that you may be experiencing too as well. So that is very, very important, because if you have a relationship that has died and you're grieving that relationship, and say that was the only relationship that you had, you don't have anyone else to go to or what have you, to talk about that. Finding someone that you can go through the therapeutic space with can guide you through how to get back into relationship, with others or what have you, and taking your time and carrying you through it.
Yeah, that's good.
Carrying you through it and carrying with you through it.
Got you.
Yeah, I also think it's part of the growth process as a human, right? So with each relationship, we get something out of it, whether or not it's familial, a friendship, or like a romantic relationship. We've gotten something out of it. It was never all bad, right? So even in those relationships, there are good things. And even in sometimes in the bad things, there were things that allowed us to grow as people. And so it had to happen. And so I think that that's very important to think about when we're talking about the grieving process, because there's a lot of times people just want to throw, sorry, my dog is going crazy in the back. Everything, I'm sure it sounds crazy, but people just want to throw everything about the relationship. I'm cutting it off. It's done. It's over. It's forgotten. But if you do that, you lose the lessons and you lose those opportunities in those things. So I think that's why it's important to make sure we're focusing on and giving ourselves time to go through that grief process, so you can figure out what things that you've learned, what can you do better, what things are great memories that you're always going to keep with you, right? So I think that that's also the important part, especially looking at grieving friendships or relationships.
So, Dr. Tracey, I have a question on that wise.
Ooh, claim it, doctor.
Listen, we will decree a thing.
I'm
Yes.
telling you.
So when as you said that, I thought about individuals who might begin to devoid their homes of any memory of whether it's a husband, a wife, a child, a relationship, whatever. What are your thoughts about that? Where you might walk into a home and there is no representation of that person because maybe it was advised to get rid of this, that, or the other. What's your thoughts on that?
I think sometimes we have to think about, for our own mental health, what that specific thing would trigger for us, right? So if the pictures are going to be triggering for us to where it will be something, a negative aspect or a negative result from that, yeah, sure, that might be something we want to remove, right? But you're still going to have your memories, and sometimes there's small things that you don't even think of that person has added value in your life. So it could be a bracelet or a piece of jewelry or a picture. I still have most of my loved ones that have passed. If I go on my phone, their phone numbers are still saved. Like, I'm not one to go and clear out the phone numbers. So it's still there. And it's not that it's triggering for me. It's just, for me, that's comfort. So I think we need to, when we're starting to discard things, I wouldn't hoard and keep everything from a relationship, right? But look at those things. Even if it was a relationship gone wrong, if it was something that was attached to a good memory and allows you to connect to that good memory or that good feeling, by all means, keep it, right? But if it's something that's going to bring back some trauma and bring that up to you, I think that those are the things that we should get rid of.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that perspective. I love that.
Which I think we actually answered. One of the questions was, can removing images and things from your home be a trigger?
Okay.
And so that was kind of an answer. It can be.
Yeah.
It really can.
Yeah, absolutely.
You take that thing away, it can be mayhem.
Yeah, and but for some people too, I think it can go kind of the opposite way too. Is taking it away, causing me to avoid the process that I need to go through, right? So I think we have to measure the motivation behind the
Right.
removal of these objects and these things, because if it's just holding me up, right, from truly coming to terms with the fact that this person is gone from this realm, then so yeah, I think
Those unhealthy attachments.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. When we talk about attachments, that goes under that too. Wow, this is all coming full circle tonight.
It is.
Wow.
It is.
Were you going to say something, Carol?
What I was going to ask was, we know that grief is very painful. We know that it breaks hearts, but do you think that it breaks your heart like really, really tremendously, and you can come back from it?
Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, Doc, I feel like you're going to say something.
I think, and that goes back to my initial thing. For some people it will take longer, right? And other people it won't take quite as long. I don't think that anything is a situation where we won't be able to get out of it, or we won't be able to get through it. By all means, we're never going to forget it, and we're never going to forget the love we have, or even the pain that was suffered with it. But it's a day by day thing, right? So we want to make sure that we're taking steps on a daily basis to do something new. You can come up with ideas to honor the person or honor the relationship, but you want to make sure that you're taking small steps with you every day, right? Even some people have in cultures have different ceremonies that they do to honor their family members or certain things. Maybe go out to the beach and have a moment of just being, right? Or just a moment to yourself to think about the person and allow those memories to come. But over time, I think as long as we're making sure that we are getting out and we're still being active and we're interacting with other people, that little bit of grief may still be there, but I think we can find strength in it and get through it and move forward in it, as long as we're making sure that we are still interacting. Like you all said, it's a communal thing. As long as we're interacting with other people, it becomes unhealthy when you've gotten to the point where you're starting to withdraw and remove yourself from everybody.
Right.
That's when we get into that very unhealthy state, right? So we want to make sure that as long as we're not doing that, I think it's okay.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up. And I know, like I said, generally it breaks our heart, but tremendously it can have a big effect. And what you said was good. Well, piggybacking on what you said to Sister about the communal and making sure that you're in commune with someone, because I know this came up maybe a year or two ago, where Sharita and I was discussing about broken heart syndrome. And a lot of people don't understand that grief, it is a real thing, and it can take you there, and it can take you actually to death, because it actually goes into your heart and actually break your real heart, like really, really seriously. So it is key, and it's very important that you make those steps in your grieving process, to be in commune, to get therapeutic services, to do something in regards to it. Because if you don't, it can tremendously break your heart.
Yeah. And that's the truth.
That's part of what we do when in the Femme Noire. We have quite a few of our members have fairly recently lost family members. And in the organization we know a lot of organizations, they keep you busy and on your toes all the time. And there's almost very little room for you to breathe and just stop and grieve, right? Because you're always on the go. But in our organization, we like to allow for that. So sometimes we have people who we haven't seen in a meeting or an event in a while. And we reach out and call and be like, hey, how you doing? And it's just because we're dealing with mental health and supporting, self-care, we want to make sure that when they say, nah, sis, I haven't been okay, I've needed a moment to myself, like this is really hard, we just make sure that we continue to remind the person that we're here for you, right? You need to, whenever you're ready to come back, we're here. Anytime we haven't seen you in a month, but we're still going to invite you to that next event. We haven't seen you in a while, we're still going to invite you to the next, because we want you to remember when you do have that moment or have that time to be able to reach out, that we're there and we're a place that you could come for, safe haven for that. And I think that that's really important, especially for Black women, because we like to go, move, do all the work of everybody, and don't take care of ourselves. And so sometimes you need an organization or a collective of people who are just going to remind you to stop.
That's good. We keep going. We keep going, and we don't stop to deal with it, as you said earlier.
Just be round.
And you have to deal with those different pieces.
Round with your head on a swivel, and you're avoiding the emotional side of it.
Absolutely.
Come through, sir.
which is good, because I was looking up, and they were talking about the 3 C's of grieving. Okay. All right. You have to choose. All right. That means you choose what's best for you at the time. It may seem best for me to, seclude myself, because maybe some people have like emotional outbursts and they be kind of nasty acting a little bit when they grieving and stuff. They get an attitude and stuff, because they trying to, their emotions all over the place.
It's funny that you said that, because grief can change your personality. It can take you into different places.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was reading
it changes you sometimes.
And they say, which is great that you said that. And I was reading something that says sometimes it may change your personality, right? But what if that's been your personality all along?
And it just is it's starting to come.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Okay, don't talk about that. We'll talk about that
later. Hold on. Admin, can you write that down so that we can make sure that we go back to that? Yeah. Because we need to.
Because sometimes people put it on grief. I wasn't telling you, I think I shared it on my Facebook page. We say it was grief, they had this drastic loss, but you've been acting like that before you lost.
In pride.
All right, don't talk about that.
Let's wait.
Choose. Because you're walking around with a mask on, and the grief allows you to take the mask off, right? and then you don't have the energy to put the mask back on, and that's kind of what
Right.
happens.
Mhm.
You've always been that person.
Yeah.
You just had a mask on before, and it just
Uh-oh.
the grief takes the mask off.
Okay.
That's good.
All right.
Thank you, Edna.
All right. And so then number 2 was to connect, and you mentioned it. You can't remove yourselves from others' lives. Like
Right.
you just can't
Right.
cut yourself off like
Right.
you don't even exist anymore.
Right.
Because you're still here.
Yeah.
You still have a life to live. So you need to make sure you're keeping those connections.
Yep.
Okay.
That's key.
You saw how I did
I
it?
saw
Connections. I just felt like I need to be
Yeah.
a dancer now.
Okay.
Like.
Pulling us in.
Yeah, put us
connecting.
in. And then the last one is to communicate.
Right.
And so that means you put your needs out there. You have to eventually talk about it where you don't want to talk about it. If you have the right connections and the right people in your life, and you connected with a therapist or a counselor or a life coach or friends, family who you can trust, you should be able to freely talk about how you feel during these times.
That one is a big one that most of us struggle with.
Right.
In those times where you have everybody saying, if you need anything, let me know. How many times do people actually let you know that they need something? Usually it's not. And I'm usually one to circle back and be like, no, friend, I mean it for real. I mean, like anything. Even if you need me to call your friends and let them know what's going on, so you don't have to do that. Like, what can I take off of your plate? But often we don't want to communicate and let people, know and let people take those things off of our plate. And that's the only way people will know what you need to help, right? Is if you communicate that with them.
Yeah. And even with that too, just to kind of expand a little bit with the time that we have left, God dog, time's almost done. Even like with the communication piece, a lot of people, like you said, do not ask for what they need. And so what I have like begun to do now is to just kind of bring things, do things, like go pull them out of the house and take them to brunch, or so because people aren't going to ask, right? And because for whatever reason. And so if we know to do something, like just going and doing it, right? Just bringing the meal, or whatever the case may be, because sometimes we're just not at a place where we can ask for what we need.
Definitely. And so as we are coming down to the wire, if Tracey, before you go, can you give at least 1 or 2 things that we can say to people, or do's or don'ts to people that are grieving during the holidays?
I think just to make sure you're always sending the invite, right? So sometimes people get to the point where you see people and be like, I always invite them and they never come. They just might not be ready yet. So always continue to have that open door so that you never know if they're going to pop up, right? Just understand that it takes time and grief looks different for everybody. So just because a person seems on the outside like they're okay doesn't necessarily mean that they are. So continue to just check in. And I see some of my folks in the chat. You don't even know what you don't even know what you need. That was just repeated. So just be there for the person and let them know that door is open, and just be a constant reminder to them, because when they need you, they'll reach out.
That's right. And so we appreciate you for being here. I know you have your show comes on. Give us what time and day?
It's usually the first Wednesday of the month at 7:00. And
First
that's Collective
Wednesday.
Conversations.
Collective Conversations Wednesdays, the first Wednesdays of the month at 7:00. If you can join Tracey, follow her on her Facebook page, La Femme Noire Collective. Thank you for joining us. I know we'll talk again. We will have you back, because 30 minutes is never enough time.
I know. It was a great chat. I loved it.
Yes, definitely. We'll catch you again. Thank you for those of you who joined on tonight. We love you
so much.
Tracey, La Femme loves you. We will see you again.
Happy holidays.
Happy
holidays, guys. We will
Bye,
see you.
guys.